All right. Hello, everybody. We are officially live. This is definitely a different setup than I've done in the past. So I hope you guys enjoy a little bit of the different view. We are in Audia headquarters right now. We are in my office, my studio. This is where we work. This is where we get stuff done. This is where we think. This is where we look outside that window and think, what would it be like to jump out of it? No, I'm just kidding. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. Anyway, this is the place where we do what we have to do. Came through a lot of breakthroughs in this place. Also came through a lot of hard times in this place. But all of it at the end of the day is to get to this moment that we're at right now. Palantir Research, what's up in the chat? Midwest Cannabis, Philip Rizzo. Thank you, Philip, for being here. I'm your mostest, coolest fanboy. I love it. That's the right grammar. That's what we got to go with. Let me just tweet out that I am live. Phone's in my pocket. We're going to get started today. Now, the title of today's talk is long versus short. And it's interesting, right? Because technically these are stock terms, right? But it has nothing to do with stocks because this series is not about stocks. It's about my startup. It's about content. It's about the industry. It's about the market. So we're going to talk about something that is not to do with long or short. It also doesn't have to do with your penis size. I know a lot of you thought it might be an ode to that. That's not what it's going to be about. So don't worry about that either. But it is going to be about something that's important. Jason, what's up? Thank you for being here. Lamb Lock says, I am only long stocks if I buy. Well, that makes sense. It's hard going short against the market, especially when you don't know what you're doing. All right. Today's topic is primarily going to be around this topic, around long form versus short form when it comes to content. Now, why is this one of the most important things in the world? To me, long form content is the basis by which you're able to build a community. You're able to get deep. You're able to have an authentic relationship at the end of the day for people to, understand who you are. Short form is a way to get discovered. And this has been the paradox that has been existing in my brain as a content creator really over the past couple of years now, which is like, do you go long or do you go short? Long, just like when you're investing in the stock market, you're getting a better ultimately return because you're having a deeper audience, people that care about you, and a deeper connection. 5 people, 12 people watching this live stream in its long format, right? Whether you stay for 20 minutes or an hour is really important versus, I would say, 100 people scrolling through one of your TikToks and having it be a short, 30-second burst of dopamine. However, 100 is more than 12. And so the paradox that exists when it comes to long form versus short form content is that, look, long form content actually establishes the ability to build an audience, but short form content establishes a connection, a possibility to achieve multiple more types of people, a diversity of audiences to find you, to discover you, because when they see your content, they don't have to be committed for that long, which means they don't need to have some type of emotional connection to you in order to be committed. They can just find, discover, and scroll past your content, and then boom, they've been able to discover you. Agree on the long form versus short form. Advertisers love those long form views, though. Yes, 100%. And so advertising in particular loves long form content because they know, hey, if you click on this video, you have so here's the thing about YouTube that I think is important. And then we're going to get into what this has to do in the context of audio and then ultimately Audia. YouTube's different than TikTok in the sense of YouTube, you need to earn the click. Right? You need to actually earn the click. People actually have to click on your content. So, when you give a thumbnail and title and that thumbnail and title is competing against 8 other thumbnails and titles within feed or, 3 other thumbnails and titles as you're scrolling, for someone to click on your thumbnail and title means they have made a conscious decision to say, I want to see this type of content. I want to consume this. Like, this is not something that's being forced upon me. This is something that was in an array of options, and as a result of those options, I've decided that the best one that matches my interest is this, and I'm going to click. Which means the probability that your time, which at the end of the day, this is all a game for time and attention. That's the only thing this game is built upon, is going to be more valuably spent on a piece of content that you actually clicked on, and the likelihood that you are going to stay longer to consume that piece of content is also going to be higher because you clicked on it. So advertisers love that because advertisers know that, hey, if we can get this person to actually click on this thing, if we get this person to actually watch or listen, then we have a chance to sell them on something. And as a result of that, then we can consume their content. Now, on short form, it's fundamentally different. On short form, it's forced on you. right? So the reason why a TikTok view is fundamentally different than a YouTube view is that a YouTube view requires a click. That click requires a consumption pattern, and that consumption pattern then fuels the ability for a advertiser to monetize or a creator to monetize that view. On TikTok, when it's forced upon you, you now have to make a conscious decision within the first 3 to 5 seconds of, do I want to consume this content, right? Is this content relevant to me? And, within those 3 to 5 seconds, you've got to make a decision, because if not, you're going to swipe up. And the problematic part about TikTok and a lot of short form pieces of content is those 3 to 5 seconds as you're deciding if you want to watch this piece of content, and then you decide at 4.6 seconds, I don't care about watching it. That's a view, right? It's counted as a view. And why would short form platforms do this? Why wouldn't they set a threshold to 10 seconds? Because then views would drop dramatically, right? So when a creator posts a video and they would see it gets 10 views instead of 1,000 views, because those 1,000 people that randomly swiped are counted as views, it would be discouraging. And I can understand that from the platform's perspective. And if it's discouraging at that point, then you might not create more content. And what does a platform need? More content. More and more content establishes the ability for a platform to show you a diversity of content. It fuels their algorithms. It maintains their hegemony and monopoly on content. And if that goes away, that's not going to be a good thing. So they need you to keep watching. They need you to keep consuming. They need you to keep creating, which means they will, even if it's not artificial, they will arbitrarily decide what is a view or not when that view is not real. This is why building a following on YouTube, I think, is the hardest thing in the world, because for people to actually see your video in a sea of other videos, right, get an impression of that thumbnail and title and decide that they're going to click on that video, that is truly, you don't need 1 million subscribers for that to happen. But if you have a base of people that are willing to do that, not only can you monetize that, but you can really build an authentic community and a community that actually cares about you. At the end of the day, I mean, I've noticed it as well. I started doing the morning live stream where I talked about stocks. So I open up the market every day from 9:20 to 10 a.m. I do a 40-minute live stream show. And I started this in March 2022. I was a bit inconsistent the first couple months because I didn't really know if I still wanted to do it. Like, I didn't understand what the value of it is. But I think by June 2022, I was just like, I'm just going to do this every day, no matter what. And so once you start doing it every single day, you notice that like you build a habit. And people want to show up to the thing that you're doing every day because they want to be part of that community. They want to be part of that experience. They want to see the breaking news from you, not from someone else. And I think that's another thing when it comes to content. It's like, can you be the guy or girl that people go to when it's time for news to break, when it's time for information to come out? So Tucker Carlson gets fired by Fox News. Every news outlet in the world is talking about it. But last night, there were a couple of people that I particularly wanted to know their opinions on because I respect them in the news industry, in the media business. And so I went to their viewpoints over other people's viewpoints. Everyone's talking about the same thing at the end of the day. I mean, like, all of us are talking about content. All of us are talking about current events. All of us are talking about pop culture, news, stocks, sports, all this stuff. But the people that have established a brand reputation and a community first and foremost are the ones that are going to get the benefit of the click, so that when you talk about it, other people want to know your opinion. And that's what we call influence, right? Knowing about your opinion versus other people's opinions means that your opinion has more influence. And so as a result of that, that morning stream now gets an average about 250 people every single day. And it surprises me every day that 250 people show up and they're willing to watch, they're willing to consume. Sometimes it's 300, sometimes it's 230, but on average, that's what it is. And it's one of the most exciting things in the world every day to host a show with 250 people. Those 250 people being live matters, right? And especially from the long duration of that piece of content and having their attention right there and having them want to consume. On short form, you go live on TikTok, maybe people show up, maybe people don't, maybe you have 1,000 people, but do those 1,000 people actually care? Like, it's a much more difficult task to be able to figure out if your short form audience can convert into a long form audience. Martin says, what? No bricks? Yes, we have no bricks. We have a real life here. Now, what does this mean in the context of audio? I believe long form content is insanely more valuable than short form content, particularly long form audio. Audio content consumed in long format means you're developing one of the most intimate relationships you can with an audience because it's audio. And what I mean by this is when you put someone in your ears, right? When you put on your AirPods, when you put on your headphones and you're listening to them and you're not having this type of visual stimulation. Obviously, the visual stuff matters, right? When you're staring at someone, seeing them talk and listen, I don't think anything's ever going to beat the visual element of it. But there is an argument to say that when you're listening to audio is such a deep relationship because you're not distracted by all these other things. You're not distracted by how the person looks. You don't care what they really look like. You just care, can they speak to you in a way that is interesting enough about the concepts and topics that you're talking about that it allows you to want to continue to listen to them in the future. And the more you listen to them, the more you develop a relationship with, I want this person's perspective. I want to know why this person says this. I want to know how this happens. The cadence of how they think about an idea and then ultimately communicate that through the spoken word. That is a very nuanced skill. I mean, everyone can talk, but not everyone can talk, if you know what I mean. And so an audio piece of long form content, I think, does, numbers in relationship to a short form piece of content. Showcat is complimenting your knees, Tristan, because he can see your knees. So I don't even know if Tristan heard that because he has headphones on. So he might not have seen that. Okay, so audio being long form. What does that mean? Now, there is a paradox to audio being long form. Audio long form content is great, right? Because you put on the content and you're listening for an hour, for 45 minutes, whatever you're doing, you're consuming that piece of content. Boom, that's amazing. The problem is, okay, and this is the big issue in the audio industry. This is the problem. This is the multi-billion-dollar problem that I'm trying to solve, okay? Getting someone's, let's not even say 30 minutes. Let's say 10 minutes. Let's say 15. Let's call it a TED Talk, right? 15 minutes. Ray, what's up? See you in the chat. Thanks for being here. 15 minutes of someone's attention in audio. That's great. We discussed all the benefits of it. How does that person find your 15 minutes of audio? That is the issue. How do they find your 15 minutes of audio? So let's say, you did a talk on why Snapple iced tea is the best iced tea, and you're targeting a bunch of C-suite executives that care about beverages and marketing decisions, and those people are wanting to listen to the perspectives for why you think Snapple is a good beverage because they're thinking of probably adding it to their catalog, whatever it may be from a marketing perspective, and they want to hear, 15 minutes on why Snapple tea is the best tea for Gen Z. Let's call it like that. You're a marketing executive. You want to hear a podcast on Snapple from a Gen Z perspective. The only way they could possibly find that is if they search for it, right? Because it's such a niche topic. It's really hard for them to discover it. So you would have to search that, and you would hope that the platform that you're searching it on is built to be able to show you that piece of audio content. Not only that it has the content, but it's built to be able to recommend that content from a search-based suggestion. Now, what happens if no one's searching for it? My hypothesis is not that content should not ever be discoverable. And I think this is what has failed in audio. It's like, if you're searching for it, it's discoverable. If you're not searching for it, it's basically like you have to figure out how to drive the traffic to that piece of content. That same 15-minute talk on why Snapple is a really important drink for Gen Z from a marketing perspective, that could be shown to hundreds and hundreds of C-suite executives that work in the CPG industry. Like, why not? Right? They don't have to all click on it, but they could all get the impression of it on their feed. And there's no reason they wouldn't, there's no reason they shouldn't get the impression on their feed if the algorithm of your platform is good enough and it cares about showing that content, because that's stuff that they're interested in. If you did a 15-minute sales call and you're walking through, a real life demo of how to break down, how to negotiate with someone and how to close a deal, that's interesting audio content. This is another huge bull case for Audia, right? There is so much content that is rooted in just audio. If you're doing a sales call and you're like a sales trainer and you're going through a real life call where you close a $200,000 contract, that's an amazing piece of content. Especially if you capture it on audio. Primarily, what's the value of that content? The audio. How are you breaking down, going from step A to step B in terms of closing that $200,000 contract? Now, here's the question, especially if you're trying to build a personal brand in relationship to your sales thought leadership. You need to get people to find that 15 to 20 minute sales call, right? In order for them to know, oh, Jack Smith is the guy who can close a deal. I want to go book a $300 per hour session with Jack Smith because he can, teach me more about how to do sales. Like, how does that happen? The only way that happens is if there is a way for someone to find out who you are. And the way for them to find out who you are, yes, there are existing platforms that can do that. My argument is that there is only one platform that does this in long form, and that's YouTube. Right? That's the problem. I had no idea Snapple was important to Gen Z. Yeah, I kind of made that up on the spot. I was assuming Snapple, Gen Z marketing, that's what's going to happen. But Grom Plays unfortunately can't watch the show right now. Just wanted to drop in hey and say that I will probably watch later as a video. Thank you, Grom Plays. It means the world to me. Thank you for being here. I really love the speaker to stick with an audio piece that's more than a few minutes. Yeah, I agree. And so you get a little bit more benefit of the long form value of that. So if there is one platform on the planet that can distribute long form content, and that's YouTube. Instagram is not long form. Facebook's not long form. LinkedIn's not really long form. TikTok's not long form, right? Like long form meaning like above 5 minutes. Like that's the barrier I have. Can you sustain someone's attention on one piece of content for more than 5 minutes? Like God forbid 10, 15 minutes. It's YouTube. That's it. It's YouTube. It's one place in the world. right? And so, and in the context of discovering new long form pieces of content. So to me, a podcast, a sales call, that's not necessarily supposed to be a podcast, but it's supposed to be like this, audio idea, this thing where you can put a thumbnail and title on your sales training call. How many salesmen would use Audia as a mechanism, as a marketing methodology to get all of their sales calls out there into the world if we were suggesting it and giving it impressions? Because again, Spotify, Apple, Amazon podcasts, all of these places can host your long form sales call. They can all do it just like YouTube. But one of those 4 platforms is actually going to show it to people, and that's YouTube, not the other 3. But the value of it is audio, right? This is like the conundrum that I've been in over the past couple of years as I've been trying to think of this. Is like, if you're a sales trainer and you have like hundreds and hundreds of hours of audio content that is rooted in teaching people how to sell, teaching people how to understand sales, like raw sales calls, and you breaking down what's going on, which is like a great strategy to like build your sales personal brand. The only place it goes where you get attention on it organically is YouTube. You can put it on the other audio apps, but then you have to build a top of the funnel form of brand awareness to get people to find that stuff in audio format, which means you've got to pump out a lot of short form content, which we're going to talk about in a second, just for them to find the link to the long form audio. On Audia, my argument is, what if we built a network where people are scrolling and discovering via impressions, which is what we talked about a couple of days ago, your sales long form thought leadership calls, those raw calls. And there's a thumbnail and title, so it's interesting enough to find it, right? It's interesting enough, it pops up on your feed, you click it, and then you don't need to watch anything, right? And that packaging, my hypothesis is, if there is a feed with the packaging of thumbnails and titles with audio behind it, and people don't need the video, right? Because I don't need to watch you do the sales. I can go do something else while I'm listening to you. All I need then is the discovery of it. That's all I need, right? Because I could use any other podcast app if I knew who you were and I could listen to it on the podcast app. But the problem is the podcast app is not recommending it, not making it discoverable. If the app made it discoverable, like again, I'm a big philosophy junkie, right? If I'm scrolling through an app and there's a really good piece of philosophy content analyzing Albert Camus or Friedrich Nietzsche or some of these, Soren Kierkegaard, these are philosophers that I really care about, I will click and I don't care about the video. And I know this because on YouTube, I don't even watch a lot of the videos. I just listen to them because the content is discoverable. It's in my face. And now I get to enter into the world of another creator. I think if you could do that for long form audio, that would be really important. That would be very, very important. And that costs a lot of money, 100%. That costs a lot of money, right? Because when you're uploading a lot of now YouTube is hosting a lot of this content. And so the reason YouTube is able to afford all of the costs for the like insane amounts of video they store is because they have the traffic. So, YouTube's getting God knows how many hundreds of hours of video uploaded a minute, but they're monetizing all of that with the traffic via advertising. So they're able to figure that out and pay for it. On our platform, I mean, I think we've paid like maybe a couple of dollars to host 40, 50,000 pieces of content with Amazon Web Services. I mean, it's cheap because it's audio. It's really cheap, like really cheap, right? So this is why, this is the greatest grift in the podcasting industry. There are websites that charge you $7 a month and it goes up as high as like $30 a month based on the amount of audio you upload, right? So if you upload like a gigabyte, maybe it's $7 a month. If you want to upload 10 more episodes a month and you get to 4 gigabytes, you have to pay another $5-6 a month for the platform to host and distribute that content. And I'm like, it's the dumbest thing in the world because those platforms aren't even doing anything for you. Like paying someone to host the content is ridiculous if there's no benefit of discovering that content. At that point, you're just paying a platform to host your audio. You can do that for free on 1,000 different apps that do it for free. The value is not in hosting content. That's never been the value when it comes to audio. The value is discovery. And like this is the hill I'm going to die on. This is just a fact. This is objectively true. The value in content creation and networks are not hosting content. It's making the content discoverable. And there's a lot of podcast apps out there that are like, oh, pay us $7 a month and we'll give you all these advanced analytic features. Shut the fuck up. You're not doing any of that. You're not doing any analytic features. You're not doing anything special. You're not doing anything exciting. You made a fancy user interface. You think people like, no, you're not doing anything for them. Nothing you're doing is that much more advanced than what the big guys are doing, like Spotify and Apple. And guess what? You could post on them for free. So to me, the value of posting audio is only because it's all free. It's like, again, it costs cents to post this stuff. It's all a commodity. When we talk about cloud storage, this is why I like Palantir. Palantir is not like storage of data in the cloud is useless unless you're interpreting that data. And that's what Palantir recognizes over the next 10 years is what's going to matter. The storage is a commodity. It's just cloud servers. What matters is the interpretation of the data to be able to make a decision at the end of the day. And so I feel the same when it comes to audio. It's like what matters is not the storage. Why are we paying for storing audio? What we should be paying for is a platform that's helping that audio find and get discovered, because then that audio is actually going to be recommendable and people are going to be able to see it and understand it. And so that's my core thesis. There is one platform in the world that allows content to become discoverable in long form format, and that's YouTube. That's why YouTube has a monopoly. YouTube gets 34 billion unique visitors every single month. It's insane, right? It's a lot of traffic. If you could build a platform that could be a distributive mechanism for long form content, just not video, just audio, I think there's lots of creators that, like, the sales trainer example is just, it's one of many thousands of examples of people that are creating tons of long form content. They're in this dopamine rat race of cutting it up, whereas they could just post that long form content in one place, and that long form content could then recommend it and get discovered. I think that would be a pretty big deal. Okay, let's discuss the next piece of topic for today. I'm going to put the StreamYard in the chat again. If anyone wants to join, questions, you can ask it. Audio only, camera on, it, whatever. It's up to you. And then we'll go from there. And any questions in the chat, please let me know if you have questions. Okay. Why am I a bigger proponent of long form content versus short form content? Now, look, I'm playing the short form game. I have to play the short form game. The short form game is the game that everyone has to play because it is the game in town. Why is it the game in town? Because TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, 34 unique. So actually, hold on. Let me change that. Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't mean to say unique visitors. I meant to say visitors. I'm going to actually show you guys right here. Unique implies different people, right? Yeah, there's not 34 billion people on the planet. This is the website where you can access this right here. So we've got 33.6 billion visits. It's called similarweb.com. That's YouTube right there. Yeah, it can't be unique. There's not 33 billion people on the planet yet. Maybe one day, but definitely 33 billion visitors on. And I think there's 2.6 billion unique monthly active users on YouTube. So that's the difference there. Okay, so why is short form so important? Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook have all decided that the way discovery is going to happen on their platform is through short form video. And so short form video is in a gold rush right now. If you're an editor, it's very important that you know the short form video skills. And if you're a creator, it's incredibly important that you're able to adapt your style in some medium that is short form, because there is a lot of people scrolling through that short form content. And this wasn't happening years ago, right? It was just scrolling through feeds. You'd see some photos, you'd see some tweets, but it was not the way that it's happening today, where people are literally scrolling on these feeds and they're hoping to discover new pieces of content. So short form video has been an entire revolution, and everyone has to play the game when it comes to building a brand. The problem with short form video is a couple things. Number one, a lot of the followers you get on short form are fake, right? So like a lot of the TikTok followers in particular that you get via short form video, they're not ever going to stay. They might not see your content again in the future. They're just like, they're here today, gone tomorrow, right? They enjoyed you for a moment, they followed, and then they leave. So the value ultimately to the followership you gain from short form video is nothing other than like social capital, right? You can see that people have followers, but it's not direct audience people that, audience members that are actually going to care about your content. Some of them maybe, but a lot of them are not going to be. So one of the first problems with short form content is that the type of audience that it attracts is very just fragile, right? It's not like a rock hard, solid community. Now it's your job to build that community, and that's where long form content establishes a broader base. But short form, a lot of it just ends up being fake. The second one is just, it's not as sustainable, right? And this is the thing I want to talk about a lot right here. The sustainability of short form content is very difficult. In fact, the past 9 months, right, since September 2022, so almost 8 months, I've been struggling a lot with this concept, right? Because one of the core things that I began when I started Audia is like, we're going to post a ton of short form content. We're going to get the name out there. We're going to get the brand out there, and people are going to start to discover what Audia is. And that's cool until you realize that you need to have a methodology to be able to not only produce that much content, but then distribute that much content. And there needs to be a sustainability ecosystem to being able to actually produce that much content. What do I mean by that? I've seen a lot of startups and particularly startup content creators, so people that have a startup and they're making content for their startup, kind of fall into the same problem that I've fallen into over the past year, which is how many things can you really say, right? How many ideas do you actually have? And I think we've kind of figured it out over the past, honestly, week or two on how to actually create longevity when it comes to building out our short form content. The first premise is short form content is inevitable. You need to have it because that's where the algorithms are actually allowing discovery within those feeds. Even if those followers are not that real, you got to do it, right? So, like, objectively, if you're not doing that, it's going to be very hard to get your brand or your content discovered. The problem, right? Here's the problem, is because it's a rat race, meaning there are so many people creating so many forms of short form content, like so many in the context of nurses, sales trainers, startup founders. There's just everyone in the world is creating this short form content and they're filling up these feeds with these videos. How can you make enough of them so that you sustain yourself? Because quality is not the name of the game when it comes to short form. You can't post one video and assume that it's going to blow up. And you can't post one video once a month and assume, right? There's got to be a level of algorithmic sportsmanship in terms of, hey, the algorithm's not going to, if this guy's posting 50 and you're posting one, unless that one is the greatest piece of content of all time, right? Unless you're Kim Kardashian, where everyone knows your name and all this stuff, it is very difficult for that one piece of content to then achieve any level of virality, right? So those 50 that the other guy is posting, that matters a lot more. And especially if those are halfway decent to halfway good, they beat you. They beat you on the game. They're posting 50, you're posting 1, which means you're losing. And so one of the hardest things about short form content and why I'm such a big, why if Audia works, we're going to be able to give a lot of people more discovery because long form content is just going to have a much more authentic, intimate appeal from an audience building perspective. And you don't have to post as much of it, is that if you're not posting on average 5-6 times a day, it's going to be hard. Like, it's going to be really difficult. So you've got to be posting a lot, right? Like, and again, 5-6 times a day, maybe that's too much, but that's the level that we're going at, where we're starting to post around 6 times a day. And I just need the content to be good, right? Because you got to give yourself a chance you got to give yourself multiple at-bats for the content to even have a chance to show up. It's like the game of content, what I realized, especially on Twitter, Twitter's, I think probably one of my favorite platforms with about 10,000 followers there. It's like, you got to keep tweeting because Twitter is a stream of consciousness. And if you're not tweeting, you're not relevant. You're not tweeting, you're not in there. You're not in that feed. So you've got to keep tweeting. So like for someone to stop as they're scrolling and see your tweet and then react and engage with it necessitates that you tweeted something interesting. And they'll engage with it for like a minute, maybe 2 minutes, maybe 3, and then they'll move on to the next thing, right? Because Twitter is just that fast. And so if you're not constantly in that feed and you're not constantly saying something good in that feed, you don't get the benefit of the attention of the people that are scrolling that feed, which is why you've got to keep tweeting. This is why Elon Musk made it such a big deal that before he bought Twitter, that the biggest people on the platform, like Taylor Swift and Justin Bieber, had tweeted like once in a year. And it's like, you're getting all the benefits of the platform, but you're barely even contributing to it. And it's like that's an issue, right? And he wanted to change that. And so Twitter is how I think about life. I think about when you're creating content, especially on short form media, video content, it's like you've got to keep tweeting. You've got to keep putting out those short form videos. And what that does is that challenges you to the depth of your core, to figure out how much more can you talk about? How much more can you say? Do you really have 5 things to say every single day? That's difficult, right? Because, and this is so contrary to the nature of content creation. The whole idea of content creation is I have something I want to express and I'm expressing it out into the world. The problem is 5 billion people want to also express different things, and there are 5 platforms that enable them to be able to express those things. So you got 5 billion people, you got 5 platforms. Those 5 platforms are going to get all of these 5 billion people expressing things on their platforms, which means they will never lose the monopoly they have on content. But that does mean you as an individual creator, if you're not keeping up with posting as much as possible on those platforms in a good way or a decent way, then you're not going to get the benefit of any of the attention of those platforms. Now, there's strategies on how to get good, right? You niche down. There's like all this different stuff. But at the end of the day, with short form video, because of how random it is, right? When you post a video, it could go anywhere. You've got to post so much of it. And you take a day off. It's like the algorithm says, well, took some time off. We don't really care about you anymore, right? We'll care about the next person because they've got the next person, which is why social and content creation is such a hard game. It's such a hard game. I just realized there's a person to your left. Yes, there's definitely a human being to my left. Showcat says, how long will short form media stay popular before the next big thing? You know, Showcat, I've been thinking about this for a while. I have two unique thoughts on this. Number one, I think short form media will continue to sustain itself because creators want to get discovered. And in the attention economy, the only thing that matters is how many types of attention can you get. And when it comes to video views, if it is simple enough to create a video on the phone and post it onto an app within a matter of minutes and it yields attention, it garners a positive ROI for your time in terms of building your brand, then people are going to do it and they're not going to stop. There's just no way they can stop because it's like, why would people stop posting YouTube videos, right? Everyone wants to consume these videos. If people want to consume short form videos and there's enough diversity of hundreds of millions of people that are willing to create for the platform, then you keep posting, right? And you keep posting because you keep getting that attention. The only way this shifts, and I think the answer to your argument in terms of it shifting, is if enough consumers get tired of short form content. And we've seen this with TikTok. TikTok's monthly active users has declined over the past couple of months. And, you know, I haven't been using it as much as well because you kind of get just tired of scrolling and like going through the entire feed. And as a result of that, if that happens in mass, then I think there's going to be a coming back to traditional forms of long form media that people will be able to consume. The problem is I don't think that's going to happen because it's like Twitter. Why has Twitter been around for 10 years? Because it's just a short form dopamine update. You discover some new things, you move on, you get some opportunity. Like I raised, you know, a lot of money from Twitter just for the startup, just because people discovered my tweets because I put out an interesting piece of content. People messaged me and then we're, you know, having a conversation. We're getting a deal done. And like, that's what's going on with short form video. Short form video is the basis for people to discover a new app, a new product, you know, a new website, a new tool, a new creator, a new video, all of these different things, a new song. And, you know, just like, let's just look at the music space. Why would musicians stop creating short form videos if they know that short form videos get them so many more listens on their songs? They're just never going to stop. And if they're never going to stop, then short form media doesn't seem like it's ever going to go away anytime soon. But if it could, then I think it would be because people are tired of it. I have to have TikTok because my girlfriend sends me stuff, but it's such filth. Yeah, my mom has been starting to send me these Instagram reels of like people talking about wealth and like how to make money and like success and all this shit. And she's getting to the age where she's like, oh crap, I haven't invested my whole life. I want to make money. And so that's why I'm like, well, I'm trying to build something for all of us, right? So we can do well, but she sees these videos every day and she sends them to me. And I'm just like, all right, I got to watch Tony Robbins talk about wealth. Amid is the rock to my crack. Thank you, Philip. I hope I always am. I never tweet. I only troll. Yeah, Ray, I know you be on Twitter just trolling. That's what you love to do. I hate TikTok, but it can be useful. Yeah. So here's my thing, right? Discovery is short form's golden cash cow, right? Like, discovery happens via short form video. It doesn't happen via anything else. And if you do have another way content gets discovered, please let me know. Outside of like YouTube recommendations, which is fine, but it's insanely more difficult. Like I don't think people understand how difficult it is to get discovered on YouTube. Like I made a video the other day on Palantir. It was a decent video, got 16,000 views, one of my top performing videos ever, and it brought in like 80 new subs. And I think 8,000 were regular viewers, like a couple thousand more were unique viewers, meaning people who haven't discovered my channel for the first time. So it's like you have maybe 5,000-6,000 people discovering my channel for the first time and only 80 of them actually subscribing to the channel and staying. If I didn't make that one video in the way that I did, how would those thousands of people even know I exist? Right? How would they even have a chance to discover me? How would they get an impression on their... This is why the platform is the thing to go after, right? This is why I don't want to just be a content creator or a media company. I want to build the whole damn thing. I want the whole damn thing. I want to build the entire platform, and not from a financial perspective, not from a monetary perspective, but really from the philosophy of recognizing that this is the only game in town that matters. If you build the thing that is encompassing everyone's stuff and you have the correct differentiated factors from the current platforms that exist to be able to get people to find other people's stuff, meaning when they post something on your platform, thousands of people have a chance to discover and see it, and your platform becomes a marketing vehicle for them, which means they're never going to leave. That's the game I want to play. That's the game I'm after. That's a much, much, much more exciting game than just being a content creator. Now, it's a much more difficult game because if you're a content creator, the traffic is up there on the website. You just have to create the content and figure out how to hack the algorithm to be able to get people to recognize that you exist. If you're creating a platform, you have to do the same thing and then hope people come use your platform and they see all the values and benefits of it, even though it doesn't have any of the values and benefits of the current platforms that exist. But that's the name of the game. So my thesis on long form, short form is that short form is key to discovery. If long form could be a way to discover content, meaning we have to have a platform that allows long form content to become discoverable outside of just YouTube, which is the only platform on the planet that really establishes long form content. Even Netflix, right? But Netflix is not for creators. Netflix, you can discover tons of long form content, but all of that long form content is not from average people. It's from like studios, right? So really, outside of YouTube, there is no other place on the planet to upload a piece of content and it shows up randomly in someone's feed, i.e. making it, or in their search suggestions, right? Making it discoverable. I think Audia can be that platform. And it could just be that platform in the context of audio. Okay. Shoeless Joe says, short form just seems to attract low quality. Not sure why, but if you keep the quality high on short form platform, you might be onto something. Yeah, and see the reason, this is a good point, the good segue into Audia. I was adamant since we've built the platform a year ago to not allow short form audio. What I mean by that is you can upload like a 30-second audio bite, but we don't allow people to upload it through the phone. And the reason we don't is because, like, honestly, a lot of that content is just trash. It's just like not good content. People have pitched me on like, why don't you make Audia into a short form audio platform? Because those platforms are legitimately trash. I mean, like, you can probably find one of them on the App Store. I've seen a bunch of them try and fail. There's one that's like kind of working, but I've tried to use them and I'm just like, what's the point? Like when you're scrolling through something and it's just a picture and then 30 seconds of audio in the background, you're getting some random person whispering into their microphone, like some stupid shit about like this vacation they took. And there's a picture of them on the beach. And it's like, what is the value to that to a consumer? There's just nothing, right? There's like the picture is cool, right? But then you just have Instagram if it's just the picture. The audio mixed with the picture offers absolutely zero value. I mean, there is nothing valuable to that. And then on top of that, you've got to stare at a blank screen for 30 seconds listening to the audio. What is going to sustain your attention? Watching captions pop up? It's like, no. Right? So, and if you put your phone away, then every 30 seconds you get a new audio bite, right? Like on shuffle. And it's like, that's not the same as music, having your music playlist on shuffle. That's a totally different experience. This is just random people talking about random shit that you're probably not even interested in until the algorithm gets to know you very well, if there's an algorithm, which means why would you consume that content? Long form is fundamentally different. If you get someone to click on a 10-minute piece of audio content on your platform and you sustain their attention for 10 minutes, that's more than Facebook, right? Facebook can barely get people to spend 10 minutes a day on the platform. So if you get someone to click on something and they're listening for 10, 20, 30 minutes, right? Even if it's in the background, they are consuming. You have kept their attention for that long because you were able to get them to find the right piece of content within that feed. And that piece of content is long form, so it's more intimate, it's more authentic. They're developing a relationship with the creator. They're getting to know who the creator is. They're checking out some of their other long form pieces of content, which means they're getting to enter into that creator's world in terms of consuming the stuff that the creator has made. Imagine they spend hours and hours over the next couple of weeks with that creator via that platform, because that platform created the ability for you to find that creator in the first place. Like, that to me is incredibly valuable. It's valuable from an advertising perspective, and it's also valuable from a growth perspective for creators who want to establish audiences, even if they are not playing the rat race of short form, but are doing long form content, but they need that long form content to show up in people's feeds. They need a place where people can scroll and find that long form content so that they can then discover them. And hopefully, if the content's good, consume the content and become fans. That's the problem. Can you imagine the challenges to capture the first second? Nuts. Yes. Music will capture in 0.5. So yeah, that's a good point, man. Music is like, if you don't like it in 0.5 seconds, you're done. And like, if I don't listen to heavy metal. Let me know in the chat if you listen to heavy metal or something like that. Ahad, what's up? Thank you for being here. bro, if a heavy metal song pops on and there's like maybe I'll give it 1 second. I'm skipping. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. And so, and this is also, I kind of feel bad sometimes. I'm in the car, right? And I have the music on, and then, I'm just skipping through these random artists that I don't care about. I'm waiting to honestly, I'm waiting for a Drake song to pop up. I'm sorry to admit it like that. And sometimes I feel bad because I'm like, well, I should give these creators a chance. But, and I have discovered new artists. I'm open to discovering new artists. I just for me, it's like those first couple seconds, the title of the song has to be, the reason I watched Beef on Netflix. The reason I don't watch Netflix shows. I don't watch Netflix shows at all. I hate Netflix production studio. I don't watch that stuff, right? I'd rather watch YouTube. I had gotten a root canal 2 weeks ago, and I was on the bed, and I was like, you know what? My teeth are hurting. Let me just turn on Netflix. Beef pops up. If you haven't watched Beef, I actually recommend watching Beef. Ali Wong and some other guy. Sorry, I don't know his name. And I was about to click away from it, and I read the description. In the description, it says, blah, 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 unfulfilled entrepreneur. Blah, 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 unfulfilled entrepreneur. Those 2 words, I was like, damn it, you got me. And I clicked, right? Just like right there, I clicked because I was like, well, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm on my path to fulfillment. So let me click that because that's like maybe it'll be, maybe there's some level of, I can relate to it a little bit. And so I clicked it, and then the first 5 minutes were great. And then I binged it in like a day, right? It was a great show. I highly recommend anyone watch it. Ahad watched it. Tristan watched it. Yep, a lot of people watched it. So it was a great show. And it's like the only reason I watched it was because they had 2 words in the description of the show. Otherwise, I'm telling you, I do not click on Netflix shows. So I clicked on it, and it was about an entrepreneur. So the relatability is what got me to stay. And when I think of short form, I'm like, it is so unbelievably difficult, which is the opportunity is you can keep posting a lot. It's like a lotto ticket, right? You just boom, 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 boom. You just keep posting. And then one of them goes viral. You double down. Why did that work? You keep going. So there is a path if you have the ability to sustain people's attention because you have idea generation at scale. I mean, you can keep talking about more and more shit. You can keep doing the thing you're doing in more and more different ways and just keep putting it out there. That is a path to develop an audience. But if you could make one long form piece of content and it could generate 10,000 impressions versus having to make 100 videos to get those same 10,000 impressions, I think a lot of creators would find value in that. And I think they would find value in that because we've just been playing this game for so long. And again, it's not a bad thing to play that game. Like that game is a game that every creator should be happy they even have a chance to play the game because 30 years ago, there was no chance to just post a random video and for it to get discovered, which is where the gratitude comes in, right? You've got to be grateful that there is at least this opportunity that all the platforms in the world have basically conspired against TikTok to be able to beat their algorithm with short form video, which means you have multiple opportunities to post your content in different places and have a chance for it to be discovered. However, if content creation is not hard, meaning everyone can do it and everyone wants to do it, then the leverage starts to shift back to the platform. And if the platform has leverage, my question becomes, if the creators are always willing to post content, if you as a platform could create a different way for them to get discovered that's not so rooted in short form, because we know there's tons of long form that exist just in an audio format, then could you enable discovery? And if enough creators know about it, could they start using the crap out of that platform because they start seeing a lot more content get discovered? That's my question. And again, with short form, idea generation, you've got to have the ideas. If you don't have the ideas, your videos get repeated. They sound like they're repeating yourself. You're boring, you're stale. It's hard. Like, for example, if you're a basketball player and you play in a game a week and you're good, you can cut up those highlights and boom, that's your short form content. If you're a sales trainer, you got to do a bunch of calls where you actually close some deals if you want to clip that up and make it into short form content so that it's top of the funnel, lead generation, brand awareness for people to check out the rest of who you are. But you got to do a lot of calls, right? It's not as easy to be as bad. And if you're a basketball player, you got to make a lot of shots. Otherwise, what are the highlights that I'm watching? So you've got to be good in any respect. And you've got to have enough goodness to sustain hundreds of pieces of content, I would say, at least a month, in order for there to be any chance for you to get discovered. And that is the difficult part of short form. Beef has greatness in it, but it falls short of greatness overall. I actually don't disagree with this review of the show, Ty. I think you're onto something there. It could have been greater. I agree. It could have definitely been greater. These streaming services will likely start using AI generative tools to produce customized blurs for each individual user. That's the kind of thing we're in for. Yeah. I mean, now look, if Netflix knows that I care about entrepreneurship, which I don't know exactly how they would know that because maybe watched a couple things about entrepreneurship on Netflix, maybe, but they could probably figure it out. Imagine them creating a customized blurb, a customized description for everyone who sees a piece of content that's unique to them and allows them to click. That's a hell of an argument. What YouTubers do you watch? Okay, some big ones, Breaking Points. Love those guys. Crystal and Sagar. I like getting my news from them. I keep a balance between Ben Shapiro and TYT. So I actually balance myself out. Like I watch some conservative media or listen to it. Really, I don't watch it. And then I listen to some very progressive left media. So I really like getting both perspectives from those sides and hearing, the takes and radically different perspectives. But it's interesting nonetheless to get them. What else do I watch? I mean, let's go on YouTube right now. What else do I consume on the tube? I'm just going to go through my history right now. Freelancer Finance. Love those. Oh, Flagrant. Andrew Scholes. Flagrant. They just had Casey Neistat on today. That's awesome. Jordan Peterson. Definitely check out some of his stuff. Again, a lot of this is in the background for me. I don't have time to watch it, but it clicks. Colin and Samir. Love those guys. CNBC is always there. 20VC, that's a great podcast about venture capitalists. Palantir is there. Your Mom, Ashley. She's like a girl vlogger that she shows up. So fucking watch her. She shows up. In terms of people I watch every day, I think it's just news content. I don't really watch like a creator every day. It's just Gideon. If he ever puts out a video, I like him. He's a prankster. I like his content. Yeah, it's mainly news oriented. It's like for example, Ted did a TED talk with a CEO of TikTok, and I watched the entire thing for that. It was 39 minutes. Like things like it's more stuff that I'm really interested in, and YouTube's algorithm just knows what I'm interested in, right? They figure it out way better than Netflix could, and also because again, YouTube has the world's videos uploaded in one place. So if you search for a topic, there are hundreds of millions of keywords indexed against that topic that not only fuel the recommendation algorithm, but it also fuels their search results. And then they just show you that shit. And guess what you're going to do? You're going to click because you care. That's it. Simple. I think if you could build that for an audio platform and you get enough people to start recognizing that that's how the system's working, it has a very strong compounding effect. I mean, the way startups work is like they're flat, boom, and then they explode, right? There's a serious level of exponentiality built into the growth of a startup if you figure out how to get that moment. Because when it happens, these are tech products, and tech products, they explode. That's the nature of tech products. It's like there's the entire world that could use it, and you don't need the entire world to use it. You need a couple thousand, then a couple 100,000, then a couple million. Then next thing you know, you're at hundreds of millions of people using something because they can all access it in a tap of a button. But you got to be able to get there in order for that to happen. Top 3 applications. Oh, John, I did see your comment above. You said, just uploaded my first 3 audios. Super hyped to see the platform from the creative side that evolves. Awesome. Thank you so much, man. It means a lot. Do you watch Kelly every day? No, I don't watch Kelly. Just finished listening to the new Flagrant app. Alex Huberman. I don't watch Andrew. Lex, I catch some of the clips. Andrew Huberman, I really haven't gotten into his stuff yet, but eventually I will get there. Is that the Audia Office HQ? Yes, this is the Audia Office HQ. Okay, top 3 applications you use for your startup and would recommend we use. Canva, number 1, $12.95 a month, and super simple for me. Basic graphic design. Obviously, Adobe Premiere is good, but if you don't know advanced editing, then Canva, I think, is super simple. Zoom, honestly, I pay the $17 a month because I take a lot of Zoom calls, and it's just super easy to do Zoom, so Zoom's awesome. And ChatGPT Plus, $20 a month. That one, you got to have ChatGPT Plus. It's great to have ChatGPT. Who is behind you? The person behind me is going to be the next Martin Scorsese. Or Tristan, you want to say hi? You want to come into the main screen? Say hi. Hello, I can't hear you. You got to come here. You got to actually come here. Okay, why don't you take a seat? Dude, let me ask you some questions, and you just you sit down. Sit down. You sit down. There's only 30 people here. Okay, hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tristan. If any of you watched the Vegas live stream, I was on there with Gabe as well.
There, yes.
I do editing and setting up stuff for a Mitt to go live every day. So that's about it.
Okay, so what is your goal in life? What is your goal in life?
That's
like okay.
That's
the next Martin Scorsese. Would you ever
that's
want to
such
be the
a
next Martin Scorsese? Would you ever want that to
I feel like I can make a pretty good New York gang mob movie for sure. But no, I just like making videos. I was once a fan of Amit and watched all of his videos. I no longer do that, but yeah, I cold emailed him. If any of you have any aspirations of working with a YouTuber, just email them. They're also as lazy and boring as most YouTubers. So
Okay, last question.
they'll
Why
answer
do you
you.
like videography and filming?
My dad told me it was good one time. I don't know. I just think that there's a freedom and a lot of creativity that goes in with editing, and just making a cool story to tell is really important to me. And I think it's fun to do. So do it.
That is Tristan Werner, ladies and gentlemen. Someone say, did you fix his audio crackle? You fucking piece of shit, Ty. I fixed the audio crackle. I just told the audio to stop crackling, and then it stopped crackling. That's it. Is Tristan a Canadian import? No. Now, his hoodie may make you think he is, but he's not. He's from a different state in the United of States. This is like when Carp interviews one of his employees. Bro, he doesn't let them talk. He doesn't let them say shit. He was like, so how do we build the tech? They're like, so we built the tech. He's like, no, but how did he just totally destroys them. It's hilarious. Yeah, if you guys want any videography or film editing or any videos, or if you're interested in that, Tristan's on Twitter, but you could also hit me up and I'll connect you with him. Very talented editor. Just knows. He just knows editing. He knows content. He understands creation from the creative side and the actual technical side. So if any of you know anybody that have some editing gigs or you want some editing done, let me know. And Tristan's there. The name Tristan instantly puts Legends of the Fall in my brain.
I was named after that movie.
Wait, really?
Brad Pitt, yeah, my mom named me after that movie. That's
wow.
Good job to whoever commented that.
Ty commented that.
Good job, Ty.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. Wow. That's wild. I've never seen that movie, like many movies I've never seen. Legends of the... Hold on, I'm about to look that up. Legends of the Fall. Thanks for ruining it. When did this come out? 1994? Legends of the Fall? Why does this cover look like this? This is interesting. What did this get on IMDb? Got a 7.5 out of 10, bro. I only watch 8.3s out of 10, so I don't know if I'm watching this one. All right. Anyway, to conclude, long form content is going to be, I think, a pillar of the creative world over the next 10 years. The discovery of that long form content is only in one place, which is YouTube. If we can change that and create an audio version of that discovery mechanism, I think that shit's going to go to the moon. It's going to be very big. Short form content is difficult, but it is something to be grateful to have. It's just incredibly difficult to be able to produce that scale. I mean, I hired Tristan literally so that we could create a crap ton of short form content and see if we can get into these feeds and get discovered. And, there are many case studies of people who have made short form content and they figured it out and they just kept going, kind of like me with the Palantir content. But it's more difficult when everyone's attention is so fleeting. And if you can crack it, you get the upside of it, but cracking it is the hard part at the end of the day. All right. That's it for me, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. This was Let Me Explain, or Startup Stories, whatever we're calling it. Number 6 or number 5. We'll be back tomorrow, same time around 1 p.m. And we will be discussing something else in the world of startups. I'll be with Vitaly today on Enphase earnings, 4:30 p.m. So if anyone wants to check out the Freelancer Finance channel, we'll be there. And then we'll be reviewing Google, Microsoft, and Enphase earnings tonight, Finance Junkies at 10 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you don't miss that show because it's going to be a good one tonight. And if you missed last night's, you can watch Gabe and the Finance Junkies crew debate. All right, that's it. Thank you guys. I will see you later today. Bye-bye.